Welcome to the first episode of our podcast. We don't have a name for it yet. I was going to say a name, but we haven't finalized on anything yet. Name pending. You'll see it on the title and you'll see it in the overlay here. We are the two hosts. Should we introduce each other? Like I introduce you and you introduce me? Or
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do this.
So the other guest that we have on is a master media producer coming from Berlin, West Berlin, when it was that time. He has very experienced travel, working in lots of producing jobs in production and post-production. We have the master, Jan Schultz. Woohoo.
Woohoo. Hello. May I introduce Joe Orchard, my Obstgarten, Mr. Obstgarten from Australia, who has a very big and huge future ahead of him in the media, and great experience and good worker. And we started to meet and work together since December. Was it December or November?
I think the end of November, yeah.
End of November. In Australia, a true and real Aussie in Berlin.
There we go. He said it properly, Aussie. You know, you get Americans who go Aussie, and it's like, makes my skin crawl.
Yeah, for West Berliner, Aussie is easy because we have the Ostberliner. So
Ostberliner, does that mean West Berliner?
East.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
We have Aussies, this is the East guys, and the Westies, these are the West guys.
That's interesting. Yeah. This is our little, I guess, passion project. Jan and I, of course, as he implied, met as I was doing an internship working for him, and we clearly get along super well. And we thought, let's just stay in touch by doing a podcast together. And so here we are. It's very exciting. One thing that I should get clear, Jan's actually a very, very busy person. He's a very hard worker. I'm not so busy. And so when I pitched this podcast to Jan, I knew that he was going to be busy. And I said, Joe does all the work. Jan just turns up. I go, we do this and whatnot.
Exactly.
And so,
this is what I like.
Yeah. Jan likes hearing I have to do less work. And our dynamic is very much, as I kind of implied, apprentice and master, mentor and mentee. And so this is, in a funny way as well, an exercise of that. And so not only are we staying in touch because we get along like that, but it's double-sided in the purpose of this pod. And so we're looking forward to seeing what happens. Unfortunately, one of the problems is I'm back in Australia. Jan is in Berlin. And so
exactly.
We are
Germans and equipment, technology. We don't know how things work.
I thought for a second you're very against the stereotype, but you're very much. I thought you were going to be late because it hit 5, and I was like, oh, not on time. That's not very much. Not fitting in with the stereotype.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. No, actually, I was on time, but I was connected with the wrong Google account. So I realized that, and then I had to restart all over. But again, let's go back to our topic.
Yeah. The idea of the relationship between the creators and the enablers, I guess we'll call them, and the producers and the people who get it all going. I don't know about you, Jan, but when I'm almost done with uni, but I'll say for intensive purposes, when I was doing the main part of my university course, I was in class with lots of people who were very creative and had lots of ideas, but zero practical skill or thinking about getting the idea into something real, and not understanding that it's going to cost this much, it's going to require this many people, it's going to take this amount of time. Yeah. And so I realized that was one of the awakening moments for me, being like wanting to become a producer, because it's like, this is actually a pretty cool idea, but you need people like me around you and like you, so it actually goes from something in your head or something that you've written. And as a script or whatever into something real.
Yeah. I would even go so far to say you cannot judge ideas unless you fulfill the idea to find out whether it was a good idea or a bad idea. But then in the transformation of becoming an idea or turning as an idea, do you have an idea, and this transformation to become real, this is a big part, and it's a risky part always.
Yeah.
That's why I don't understand that so many people, I have an idea, but I can't tell you. It's like really secret. It's the best thing. They don't know. They
Totally.
just don't. It's just an idea.
Or the other part where they're like, I've got this idea, but I'm waiting for the right time. And I'm like, when's the right time? There's never going to be a right time. Like
Exactly. And in media business, it's, we nowadays, we don't create anything comparable, for example, like a construction worker, we don't see that we build the whole wall in a week.
Yeah,
we don't see this. At the end of the day, we have running pictures who are in commercials 20 seconds long, maybe even 6 seconds long. How you want to put an idea with storytelling in 6 seconds, this is like nothing. And media comes from photography. This was the first media really in like where the connection was, you shot something, you captured the time, and then people could do something with this, print it in a newspaper or write something on it, and but it was not moving. And then so people had the time to watch. Nowadays with mobiles we don't have the time. We always think we don't have time. That's why we have 6-second bumpers and pre-rolls.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the attention span as well of people nowadays is especially low. And so
it's gone zero.
Yeah.
It's gone zero, and I think it's not good because stories to tell, it takes time, and it's a fun part, and getting lost is part of the journey, it's and you want to you want to lose yourself in entertainment, you want to forget your problems and your current situation.
That escapism,
Yeah, and that's why, for example, in Germany, it's always so difficult because we always tend to have entertainment, but it has to be real, and reality and entertainment is not the same, especially in the American system where, movie are larger than life, and that's good entertainment in my opinion.
So you prefer the American system to the German system, or the German to the American?
Okay, American. No, I think... well, I think the Americans found the key to tell international stories. Yep. This is what the Americans found in after the Second World War. And because many creatives went to America after that, the technology went to America after the Second World War, and then the European were much more into real, or you have to learn something out of it, and the Americans, they said, let's carry away, you don't go always in a theater play or in a musical where you have to learn something,
Interestingly, it's funny with our nationalities and film, because the Lumiere brothers, after they started in France with their projector and the rolling film there, the second place they went to was Germany and Munich. And one of the first films that is labeled as a modern day feature film was made in Australia, about Ned Kelly. Do you know who Ned Kelly was?
No.
Ned Kelly was this revolutionary who wore this bucket helmet with this small slit, and he had a gang, the Ned Kelly gang, and was a bit of an outlaw and a man of the people and that type of thing. He eventually got caught, and he was sentenced to death by hanging, and his final words were "Such is life." And everyone was like, mic drop. That was like but one of the first films, or what we now know as a feature film, was I'm forgetting the title, but it was about Ned Kelly, and it's super old and black and white, and I think it's I don't know 12 to 20 minutes long or something like that. It was really it's nothing spectacular by today's standards, but back then it was like wowza. And also, when you mentioned people from Europe going to America, I remember learning about German scholars Adona and Horkheimer. I think I'm potentially mispronouncing them, but they basically went to Hollywood after during World War II because they were Jewish and they left fleeing. And when they got to America, they realized that a lot of the media was very similar to back home. A lot of the propaganda was similar in structure to back home, not in content, of course, but they sort of had all this theory that all media in its given form is the same. And it has strangely come true and paralleled into today's time. And if you look at Marvel movies and thumbnails on YouTube, they all look the same. It's all people going and stuff like that. And but it's interesting how you mentioned that, how America mastered it, because they really did master it. They really they invested in culture.
Hollywood since the 50s, and this was, and then the big new thing came with the Star Wars. Suddenly people, they had the idea that when you have toys and when you connect them, you have a brand to a film, and then since the 90s, the soundtrack got more and more important. Why? Because there were CDs, to sell, and it was a big market. That's why we always have to come down at the end of the day in media, especially for film. We are always connected to equipment or technology, and this always it doesn't come out of the film, because there is no film science technology building stuff. It comes out of the war. The first cameras film producers were used in the army, because they had to build something where when you fly in your planes to make a sharp picture, this was to spy basically. And this was how it all started, that we got the technology. So as a producer, you always have to combine, like we said at the beginning, human chemistry. We have to work in teams, but we are very, very compared to startup people in technology brands, because they do something. I have an idea. I want to build something where people sit in, and then we are like birds. Let's call it a helicopter, and then people are inventing this. And we are the same. We are always inventing stories, but since the Bible, all stories are told. So why is everybody still running and using and watching those pictures, those movies? Because it's interesting, because we are not running around in our life with our closed eyes around. That's senses, and that's always humans. That's feelings. That's always part of it. And that's the big difficulty over here in Germany. To put a price tag on ideas. Because this is something where you really have to decide, okay, do I have to pay 100,000 euro or maybe 10,000 euro? It's only 1 0 difference, but it's a big zero.
And it's interesting as well, because if I came up with an idea and you came up with the same idea, and with your experience versus my experience, they then get priced differently, but it's the same idea. And we could equally pitch it. We could equally set it up. We could equally do all this stuff. But the person is also there's the idea, but there's also the person behind the idea, and that can influence the value there. I think it's really interesting how you mentioned cameras in war, because cameras over time, of course, got better. And then when the Vietnam War happened, Australian soldiers were fighting on the side with Americans, and they were actually able to get video footage from there and broadcast it back to Australia, and everyone would watch it and be like, this is terrible. So the story that was being presented. Like when you're saying the story and the cameras and stuff like that, it was like, okay, this is what war is actually like, and it's dreadful. And we could see it in color straight away as well. All the World War II footage is in black and white, and people use black and white as a tonal shift to make things look darker. But no, when it's in color and there's some crazy shit going on, it's pretty confronting.
Yes, and the people were able to watch it while sitting on their couch, drinking their beer at home and eating chips, And this is what they did usually when they used entertainment. And suddenly this war came right into their living rooms, and it was part of the entertainment because it came out of the same box, like this TV thing,
Yeah.
And then humans were able to see, okay, there are news, and this is important, and the same pictures, and then there are there's entertainment. And nowadays everything is completely different. Those chat GPTs, the artificial intelligence, is making, of course there's a person behind it with an idea, but you see how it's done by a computer, and you cannot really be part of the actual process anymore. You have to, basically you always have to judge the food when it's on your plate and not while it's cooking.
That's a very good metaphor. That's the clip. Clip that. That goes on TikTok.
Okay, ciao, boom. We got it. Cheers.
You love AI. When I was pitching this to you, you've always been a fan of it and, its capabilities. Do you like ChatGPT?
Yes, because right now it's like, for me it's a tool which I don't fully understand, and I always it's like a game. It's like playing a game, and okay, I really don't get into level 9. It's and there are level 900s. And I know I'm still at level 2, and this is kind of what I think. It bothers me because right now I'm stuck. It's okay, I know I can write, I can type something, and then when I want to have a dog with a cigarette in a football stadium, yes, but there's so many possibilities, and it's never really what I want. It's like looking into a huge library of books, and I see exactly that red book on top in the top left shelf. And I always get the green book in the bottom right one. And this is, kind of strange. And that's where I am right now, because I don't have so much experience.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you there. My final uni assignment, I'm doing it on AI and AI technologies. And I interviewed someone who specializes in he's doing their masters in AI and technologies there for IT.
Yeah.
And he said with ChatGPT, it knows all the answers. It just often doesn't give you the right one, and you have to train it. And it will get better and better over time. And the image creation ones like Midjourney and DALL-E, you can put your prompts in. Like we were trying to do this idea in a graveyard, for example, and we would put the ideas in. Wolf, graveyard, zombies, tombstones, green mist, and it would come out and it's like, hold on, the wolf is a zombie. We actually just wanted a wolf itself, not the wolf to be a zombie. And it's very tricky to train and get right. Are you concerned at all that it's going to get too good and we're not going to be able to tell the difference or anything like that?
When I had my film production called Mutter und Vater, we started this in 2006, and I think it was 2007 or 2008 when we had the first project with the RED camera. Do you know the camera, RED?
I am familiar with RED. For the audience, RED is a cinema grade $50,000 US camera. They're outstanding.
Yeah. Outstanding, and this was the first one back then who had those chips and blah 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 and comparable to film and blah, and And we did shoot a lot of music videos back then, and music videos is a really nice part to experiment, on a professional way, on a low budget project. And we had the musician coming in together with the management at the end of the project to watch the film, to watch the music video, and they said, yeah, we can tell exactly that's digital, and for us, we were like, yeah, we don't, because it was so good already, and of course, then people start talking about film and all that. I think this will vanish at the end of the, or put it this way, it won't be of any matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because since Photoshop and since the whole digital world, I know that you cannot trust the picture anymore. You cannot trust sound anymore, and you cannot trust videos anymore.
Totally.
So but this doesn't give me an uncomfortable feeling of watching it, because I know that it is probably just a technology what's going on.
So to add to your point about we can't trust what's going on, The Social Network, that film, and Iron Man 1, they came out at similar times. The Social Network has more VFX shots than Iron Man 1. And when you watch it, there's an expectation with Iron Man 1, okay, it's going to be fake, metal suits, jets, whatever, whatnot. But with The Social Network, there was a lot of making backgrounds look a certain way. Armie Hammer playing the Winklevoss twins, they had to put his head on the other person and stuff like that and comp it in. Credit to the compers, by the way, because no one knew who Armie Hammer was back then, and it played to the narrative of that film, because you're like, oh, he's actually just one dude and they've managed to do that twice.
But the funny thing is that you mentioned this, because in this app TikTok, they have pre-installed filters, right?
Yep.
And so you have this beauty filter. A friend of mine last week, I saw him and he made a picture of me, and it looked quite, I looked younger, and when you have those filters constantly on, and you don't have any mirrors in your apartment, you think you are looking that good. You think you are looking this way. And it's starting already, and that's what I mean. It's starting with technology and fake. It's starting already there. It is the digital makeup for everybody now, possibly with no costs, nothing. And it's so easy to do, and everybody thinks, you're damn good looking.
Yeah, and I remember when I got one of my new phones, when I moved from iPhone to Google, and I took like a selfie of something, and it has an automatic markup that it has as a setting. And so if you've got, slightly different coloration, it clears it up. It makes you look smooth like a Ken doll. And it's like, no, I'm a human. I'm not.
Exactly. And this is already, this is where it starts, the fake, in the moving pictures. The problem is that media is, in Germany, it's the fourth power, and it's very important. And we learned in our history, and we see this currently now in Russia too, the propaganda, this is where it starts. And this is where the usual human, gets very irritated nowadays. And then people say, okay, I don't trust anything, not even the fucking weather app,
We've talked about this a lot. There's the weather app that I have goes, it will say it's 19 degrees today, but it feels like 16. And I'm like, what the fuck does it feels like 16? Like, I don't know what 19 feels like to begin with. Like,
exactly. And now the app tells this, and then, we will have this, that, there's a snowstorm coming up and it's really bad weather, and, blah, blah, blah. And people stay home, and then the first snowflake comes and they say, it's a storm. and nothing happens, you know. And then people say, oh, we survived the winter storm, the snowstorm, you know, but it's a fucking, you know, there was nothing, just because the weather app said there's a snowstorm coming up in 2 weeks, something like that, you know. And people get, because if you don't get out anymore, you don't know what this fucking snowstorm is. I've been in Iceland in June. I had a snowstorm. There was so much snow coming up, I couldn't look straight. I had to watch down because I didn't have glasses on.
Damn.
In June.
In June, yeah, when it's summer and the sun doesn't set there, like.
Yeah, you know, I was flying out in October from Reykjavik, and I was sitting in the airplane, and the guy said, you know, yeah, we just have to clean the wings.
Runway. Oh, the wings, okay, yeah.
The wings, because they are iced. But there's a little wind coming up, so we cannot do this right now. So give us like 15 minutes. The plane was going like this on the ground because the wind was so much shaking. I thought, you know, let's get out of the plane. And the Icelander said, yeah, let's clean this in 10 minutes. It's gone. We are flying out here.
Wow.
No problem. You know, and we did. We managed.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it was, for me. It was like that, because I was like, fuck, you know, there's a real snowstorm now out there, and you know, it's, yeah, that's the deep fake.
Yeah, I think overall, my feeling towards all this stuff and everyone being concerned about their jobs being taken and things being fake and a lack of authenticity, I have a feeling that humanity will persevere. Humanity always seems to persevere through things like this, and changes happen all the time. I'm sure when digital cameras came out, there were people who were very apprehensive about, hold on, it's called film. We've got all these rolls and stuff like that. It's an art to use film. There's a film look. And it's like, no, digital, it's all clean, it's crispy, and, you know, things look nice. And then, you know, now there's, you know, when the Adobe software got really good with Premiere Pro, it's like, hold on, you can now do this and that, and anyone can do X, Y, Z. This is going to create so many problems. And it's like, no, it's just it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a tool, and it's going to be how people use it. And when I go on TikTok and I see a lot of people my age, it's a lot of, there was a trend for a while where they got presidents of the United States to play video games together and just talk shit. Or they play Magic the Gathering, and it's like really random. Or there was a really stupid one where it was different franchises. It was like Harry Potter Balenciaga ad. And so they would do all these, you'd model, like you'd say Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe as the inspiration in a Balenciaga ad. And he'd be sitting there going like that. But people would do parodies of the dialogue and stuff like that. And so it was really funny and clever. But it's like when people go, oh, all this AI is gonna change everything, and it's gonna make, we're not gonna know what's real and what's fake, but people are just mainly using it to have a laugh. I have a feeling that there's a slight overreaction.
Hold on, my wife is at the door. One more.
No worries. Did you start off having a production company, or when did it? What was? I actually don't know anything about your career journey. I just know you're very experienced, and when I met you, you were EP.
When my first experience with film was when I was in elementary school, maybe something about like 5th grade or 4th grade. I had an audition for a feature film, and I didn't get that cast. I didn't get that role. But the caster who did this was part of for the Berlin local station, TV station, and so they casted me for. They had a kid show, and then I played in front of the camera at the beginning for a couple of shows.
Nice.
And then I always had theater in mind, and I always wanted to become a director. And then I got lucky because after we had to do in Germany community service after high school. And after my community service, I had the chance to go to New York, and I went to the New York Film School. Film
Nice.
Academy.
Oh, I
And
did a tour there when I went there in 2017. It was outstanding. It was state of the art.
really cool.
And they
Ah,
also
nice.
have, I also did a tour of Parsons. And I don't know how
Yeah,
good Parsons actually is, but their facilities were state of the art, really
yeah.
cool. So New York is the place.
The place exactly, especially, and when I was beginning middle 20 in the 20s, so 23 or 4, something like that. Living in New York is cool. I took some night classes at the School of Visual Arts in New York too, and I lived there for almost 2 years, randomly, and then I came back in 1999 back to Berlin, and then I started to work at the in Babelsberg at the film park,
Nice.
and over there I started to be a studio boy for in a green screen. This was the largest green screen in Germany we had, the biggest one back then, and
How
they
big
built
was
a
it, out
whole.
of curiosity? Because I'm sure they're massive now. Like,
Yeah, well, back then they built the green screen box inside an old hangar. We had, when they built in the 20s the film studios here, they had to be soundproof, and some didn't.
yeah.
So
Oh,
it depended on always on how thick the walls were and the doors, but we had one of those big ones. I think it was maybe five 5 meters tall and maybe 20 meters long, something like that. I don't remember the square meters nowadays, but
that's still very big for today's standards. So yeah,
it took me a day to color them every time, because after each production.
yeah,
Joe, are you still there?
yeah. I'm still there.
Yeah.
I'm listening. Sorry.
No, because the picture is
No,
I don't see you
I'm very
moving.
engaged.
Okay.
I'm focusing on
No worries.
listening. Yeah.
No worries. And what did I want to say?
Yeah. So it took you a day to.
It took me a day to paint. So we're talking about, I don't know, maybe 400 to 500 square meters, because it has to be like this and stuff like that.
It's
So
crazy.
this was my first experience, and then the production head of production, he was freelance back then, and then he took me to a couple of jobs, and this is how I started and here in Berlin,
Nice. Was
my
the green
career.
screen? Did they know back then to have it curve at the bottom?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay, these guys, classic German efficiency, cleverness. They knew to do that.
the infinity curve. We had this back then, and yeah, it was a nice thing. And then from that point on, I started, as a freelancing, and then I studied a little bit more, but more production, because finding out was, for me, was a big part to say, okay, am I a director or producer? And I found it out that basically by the judgment of the applause when I did my directing of the films, the audience, they didn't clap so much, put it this way.
I was
Or
about
they
to ask,
clapped
how many directing credits do you have?
around 10 films, maybe
Okay.
9, maybe.
Feature
I
length,
would say
short?
short films,
Okay.
like up to 15 minutes,
Yep.
shot on 16 millimeter film and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
then
Awesome.
but compare the sound of the claps in the audience with the other ones, with standing ovations and all that, and my applause was like this a little bit. So I started, and then I started to see that I have more talent in production, and yeah, and since then I decided around 2000 something to become a producer.
Nice.
And then in 2006 I started. Oh no, in 2004 I produced a rap DVD with two other guys here in Berlin about the Berlin rap scene called Rap City Berlin. And this was very successful. We were
Nice.
in the top 10 DVD charts, selling charts. And I'm not sure because it's already almost 20 years ago, but we might be still the best-selling German DVD in hip hop so far.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've got a friend who
yeah,
I'll get you in touch with who be. We maybe should have him on the podcast. He was a producer in New York who now lives in Australia, and is really into that stuff. But if you tell him that and share that details, he could do a whole 5 hours talking to you about that. So
great.
that's very
So
interesting. You've done a lot of
we
stuff.
have good, perfect. So we have content for one of our episodes already.
Yeah, excellent.
And from that one, from this, basically, then I started another film production called Mutter and Vater, Mother and Father film production in Germany with two other colleagues. And we were really big in music videos. Like we were shooting, we always had to shoot 3 months, put it this way. It's like as an average. And over back then, I was voted to be the one of those upcoming, or I put it this way, I got published by the city of Berlin to be one of those upcoming producers.
Nice.
And it's already like 15 years ago. And I didn't make it. No, but there was more feature film than commercials, put it this way. But then feature film is very, very, very tough and very, very you need it's a lot of time. And going back from the feature film business more into commercials. This is what I did the last 10 years.
Nice.
Because there was more money. There's a quicker money, more money in this business. And when you have a family, it's easier, the commercial market, to earn money quickly than the feature film market here in Germany.
Jan's got the cutest kids, so it's good that you focus on them and make sure that they're doing well.
Exactly, but only 1 more month and then they have to work and I can stop working.
Exactly, yeah. They kick them out as well. Are they paying rent yet, or...?
They have to pay already.
Yeah,
from
nice.
the first, blink of their eye when they came out. No, of course not.
Super cool. So that's why he's the master, by the way. Jan's done everything. We actually have very similar starting points. Where I actually did a theater in high school. I auditioned a lot for the school musical and play. Didn't get in, but I did the class play in year 9, and I was the lead role. I played Dr. Frankenstein. I have to clarify that Frankenstein is the name of the doctor, not the monster. So I was the scientist then, and but I've always been into photos, videos. But what really separates us is I'm actually really into writing, a little bit. Were you into writing much?
Back in high school, yes, but for me, put it this way, I need someone to play the words better on this white piece of paper, because for my lack, and this is what I think a good author is able to do, is exactly to use the right words in the right situation. And for me, I did this a couple of years ago with a friend together. We wanted to write a screenplay. And he always said, Jan, it's good that we talked about it, what you wrote, because it's not written what you talked about it. So, everything leaving my head or my brain to the paper or to the screen is always, I need always someone to play ping pong with me. Then the ideas get more focused and better, I think.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not so much into writing, because in writing, definitely, for me, I'm not an author. I need someone to write.
I totally agree with that. I've written something at the moment. Oh, your video just blend out. Oh, you're back. Excellent. I have written 6 chapters of a comic book series, and I've sent it to friends to like review and have a look at. I'll send it to you actually.
Yeah.
And it's a solo experiment, but I've got all these people giving me feedback and advice and whatnot. But having a second writer would just be the best, because instead of having to go around town, well, not town, my friends, and just be like, hey, do you like this? Do you like that? And your friends are going to say, yes, I like this, like that. If they're good friends, they'll encourage you and want you to keep going. But having a co-writer would be a dream. And yeah, it's not ready to be released yet, by the way, my thing. Eventually we'll get there. I'll produce it. I gotta hire an artist first of all. I don't know a comic book artist. So
yeah, but funny thing is that you mentioned this, because I thought maybe it's possible to have the co-author as ChatGPT. Maybe this is the thing, you know. Could be, I don't know. Maybe
that's true.
Because I think, you know, authors, people who are able to write, are very, you know, they are very interesting for this whole artificial intelligence, you know, because they know what and how to write, and you know, this helps a lot. So I think maybe, you know, to use the ChatGPT for people like us, who, or for me more than you, because you want to write by yourself, but for me, writing, and then, you know, writing with a script doctor, as a digital script doctor, put it this way, could be a solution. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's an idea to look into.
Yeah, totally. It is something to consider. I'll go through a bit of my history a little bit more to set up me, so the audience knows who we are, and and what we're looking to do moving forward. I did a couple short films in high school, and I've almost finished studying media communications, majoring in cinema and screen. And for those wondering whether that is like studying film, it's kind of like studying film, but instead of actually using the cameras and going out there and making stuff, you sit in a circle and you talk about other films. So I've got a lot of academic knowledge in my head about various scholars and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not disappointed by that. I have a lot of aspirations, which is, I guess it's cool that I'm very interested in a lot of things, but it's also kind of makes me anxious because, jack of all trades, master of none. And I've realized going through uni and working overseas in Berlin that I think producing is something that I really want to pursue and be the focus of. I still have a few bucket list things I want to do and create. For example, I'd like to a documentary and a music video by 30. I'm currently 23 and a half, so that'll come around sooner than I reckon, but I just got to stay focused and figure out. And the podcasting is also something I've been really into doing. I did a podcast before this. There were 2 iterations of it. One where I was just doing Zoom interviews like this. They were quite fun. I learned a lot. And then I did another version where they were live and in person, and I could fit all my gear into a backpack, and I could go to various different spots and film it there and do it live. And that concept was really cool. But I moved to Berlin for a bit, and it became a bit impractical. There wasn't any money coming in, and I would have needed a producer to sit behind the camera to sort of be like everything's running smoothly and sounding good. So there's a lot of things I'd like to do, but it's just the focusing and refining is what I need to figure out. And that's, I guess, partially what this is about. This whole podcast is me learning from you, me doing this and producing it and taking charge and being great like that.
What you just said is but this part of the journey to grow into your profession, and because I think, and that's why I'm here too, this whole media thing, it's not a job for you or me, it's a more profession. In Germany we say Berufung, and Berufung, the Beruf, that's, if you translate the word Beruf, it comes out job. But Beruf is not a job. Berufung comes from Berufung, and this comes from inside here and inside here. And I think that's much better to say this in English as a profession, and that's very important. It's just to, like you said, to find the construction sites in your life which are now able to be built, so already, okay, yes, of course I want to have a rooftop whirlpool and swimming pool, but I'm standing here on the ground floor because this is the first floor I have to build to start my career, with the beginning or middle of 20, and you want to end up on a skyscraper with the swimming pool on top, but your foundation needs to be strong in order to build so many floors on it and the rooftop fucking pool. So and that's
a pool on the rooftop. Is that what you want to build?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Of course. And then and if you have a wooden construct beneath there, this pool doesn't fit, and that's the thing, the Berufung, the profession, gives you the ability and the power inside to start this and to find the constructions which are right now for you important, and you will do the way, and it's like the same when you write, for example, fiction. And I didn't mention this before. I did have some workshop and classes on writing, and they always, every teacher said, you have a good dialogue and you have a good film idea when the cast is talking to you on the piece of paper, and you don't have to think about the dialogue, but the role or the person in the film is telling you this while writing. It never happened to me, but I think this is exactly what happens to us as a producer at the beginning of our career. We just need to find the constructions talking to us, saying, listen, work on me first, and this is experience on many levels. That's why I think music videos are so good, because for a producer you have to look into art department, you have to look into styling, and of course you have someone who is maybe not so experienced, and then they have problems to find the skin colored underwear on a Friday at 11 p.m. because you need to shoot the first scene on a Saturday at 8. Yeah. So solve that problem now. And this is what you need, maybe to find out, which projects give me most experience, and then we learn, and then we rise and become better, And like I said to my kids the whole time, it's not about, it's not bad about making mistakes. It's only bad not learning out of them, And in business, as a businessman, you need to learn quickly out of your mistakes.
Yep.
Because I think Robert Rodriguez said that, there are, in every director, there are good and bad films. The bad films they have to get out too. It's not, Quentin Tarantino is not only shooting great films, or every single scene is like, perfect. And that's the same for us.
Death Proof is a bit of an L, I'll be honest. Death Proof, the Tarantino film, it's a bit of a...
Exactly, and that's what I mean. And for us, it's the same, we have to find, as a producer, when we write ourselves, of course we think our ideas are the best, but judging other people's ideas and putting other people's ideas a price tag on, that's then professional. That comes where we learn, because then people say no suddenly. And if we do only our own projects, our own writing, our own directing, our own DOP, our own editing, we are always right. Because no one says no to you, It's very difficult to say no to yourself, and I think, filmmaking is a team sport, and it's good to have this. It's good to have to know everything now, but you have to develop yourself into a certain field, you know, and producing are many fields together, you know, and that's only experience, to sit on a set and to tell people what to do and not to do it by yourself,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned the specializing thing because I've done also videography as a side hustle for a while, and this was a lot of Instagram videos. And I'll save it for another episode. I'm not a very big fan of Instagram videos and how they do content and stuff like that. That's a whole thing I could rant about for a while. But when I was doing when I go out, I always listen to music. My headphones are right here. I'm always listening to music as I go around. And if I go into a shop and I'm buying something, I'll pause, pay, speak to the person, and then play again. I can't finish the rest of the song, and I'm like, I have to skip. I have to go to the next one. I just can't finish it out. And I think that has happened because when I've been editing and working on timelines, I'm going back 2 seconds, making sure it looks good, moving forward, and I'm going back a little bit more. So when it turns to, once I've sequenced the clips and then I've put a song over it and I'm resequencing, I'm hearing the same sounds over and over again, and I want to bang my head through a wall. And I've realized that annoying part of doing all the editing with these songs, I'm actually getting into that headspace when I start and stop listening to music just by myself. And so I'll have to get over that because that's life. But it's interesting. But that is a really good point because when you're a one-man band, you sort of, you need other people to tell you you're doing well, you're not doing well, and you'll only say to yourself that you're doing well. And you may call yourself your harshest critic and stuff like that. I know I certainly am. But but when you're creating something and you feel proud of it, it can be difficult to assess it, given that it was just you.
This, and I think it's working with other humans together, is because if you find the right people, they always add something positive or good to the project.
Totally.
And there's of course a big part as a producer to find out the bad people, so they don't come to to this project, because bad people, they can take a lot of good stuff away, And that's why it's so important for me, always the role with the cameraman and the director, because if they get pissed at each other, you have pissed pictures, and you see this, usually I think I can tell whether the people are happy or not, in my productions. It's very important that you have happy people on set, because then everything is much better, and I have a colleague, he's a one-man show too, and I told him, it's because he's now way over 40, and or no, he's not way over 40, but he's over 40, and he wants to develop. He's a director, but no one sees him as a director. Everybody sees him as a videographer who is doing everything. Mm-hmm. But he wants to come to this position to say, no, I'm just directing, and all he needs is one project, is one construction site to say, listen, this is what I did as a director, only as a director, and I had a team of 10, 20, 30 people.
Well, if he needs someone in that team to do some research for him, I'll definitely put my hand up and help out. Perfect. May need some conversion from German to English, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, but we will see. We have to, because I think there's a lot of moving into our business too with the AR, with the artificial intelligence, and this is kind of it's a very interesting time we are at now.
Yep.
Because I think we are in the position where we are the Lumiere brothers, and but we have.
You heard that, everyone? We're the Lumiere brothers. We are the number one. We're the OGs.
We're the OGs, when we start with this whole artificial intelligence versus data analytics versus commercials versus feature or fiction, put it this way, fiction, and because, who says now that a film, like always, put it this way, all over the world, we have pop music, and pop music always lasts one song, 3 minutes 30.
Yep.
That's like the average duration of a song. It's not a written law that pop music has to be 3 minutes 30 seconds long. There's no law to have to say a 30-second commercial has to be 30 seconds long. 20 years ago, everybody thought so. But now we are back to or down to 6 or 10 seconds for a commercial. So this changes. So pop music songs might change too. So who says that I'm listening to a song and there's a singer singing and I hear the music playing, but this whole thing turns after 60 seconds into I have to read something, into a book with pictures.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the new music. And then I don't have my sound are then, or the music is the sound of the story inside what I'm reading. When I'm reading the words, Joe is walking downtown Melbourne at 2 p.m. at night, and the streets are full with cars and people, noises. This is what we hear, and not the music, but it's made like music. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Why don't we have this kind of formats now? Because people don't think so much, or maybe they are not taking the risk so far to say, AC/DC could do this, but they don't do that, Or Drake, like you said 2 days ago, Drake and what's the guy?
The Weeknd, yeah. Well, they
is this fake? Or is this an original fake? So
yeah. For context, there's a song going around called "Heart on My Sleeve," which is Drake and The Weeknd, and people are saying that it was AI generated, and that seems to be the narrative that people are focusing on, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, the music industry is going to get pissy and this and that," and they're going to have to reshuffle. I was going to say reshuffle, which is a bit of a pun, but they're going to have to rethink and do laws and stuff like that, and people get sued. No one knows who made this. There's like an account that would have originally posted it. I don't know, but I was presenting to Jan a theory that maybe Drake and The Weeknd actually did record something together, and they released it, and they didn't actually say anything and said it was AI and stuff like that, and maybe the audience is being trolled, or maybe there's some deeper meaning, or maybe I'm full of shit and I'm totally making this up and no one actually knows. But it's quite a funny thing, and it's kind of a good song. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. I think so too. It's and that's why everybody is like, okay, yeah, why not? But it's like I said, it's a very interesting situation right now, and we are living it. And let's see. I forgot what I wanted to say because there was some other example, but maybe this comes later.
Yeah, comes later. We've been going for a little over an hour, but we had some things go on. Should we look to wrap it up, or do you have anything else you wanted to quickly mention?
And we can, because then I can get my son. Because when I'm talking, he's watching, and now so he had his 90 minutes of watching. It's already enough for him.
Okay.
So I can take care about him, and I think we should. Do we do this now every second day, or how are we going to do that?
Well, we'll figure this out a little bit later, but I think we should wrap up, because we were talking that we want to make this grow and be an actual podcast that we do recurring weekly is the current model that we're looking at. We're also looking to have guests on. I mentioned a hip hop producer that I know, And I've also just thought of another guy that we can get. I'll tell you about it behind the scenes, and this will be a really nice surprise for the audience. And this whole, we want to make this grow, make this an actual podcast. We feel really passionate, and I feel really passionate for it. It's something that, we want to work hard on. We would like to get sponsors at some point as well. So eventually you are going to see us do the ad reads and whatnot. We want to make this a really cool thing that, we can all be proud of. And so if anyone has any ideas, any feedback, likes, dislikes, share, anything that you can do on YouTube, you'll see the clips on TikTok and Instagram. Please share them around. We want to make this grow and become something really, really big, because I think we've got something really special here. And
I think so too.
Yeah. And I'll try not to keep Jan's son waiting any longer. So thanks for joining me today. We've got some logistics to talk about and discuss. But it's always a pleasure talking to you. I learn so much every single time.
You too. And we need to think about an outro jingle too. We need an intro jingle and an outro jingle.
I've got Sol working on an overlay. So what you're seeing now, Sol's someone that we both know, working on what you're seeing now, but we'll figure that all out. So,
and one last thing for the audience: this is my first podcast, and closing the circle of our episode. In 2000, I was living with a friend in an apartment, and we had a Speisekammer. In Germany, we have Speisekammer. So I don't translate that. But in the Speisekammer, we wanted to install our own little radio show, we called it. And then we wanted to broadcast this over the internet. So thank you, Joe, it took me only 23 years. To fulfill my idea. So thanks for this, and I'm really looking for the new episode. Sadly, one of my friends, we cannot get him into the show. He would be perfect for us, but he died 8 years ago, so he's out of that. But I'm looking for some people over here too.
That just hit me so hard. That's so upsetting. I'm sorry.
What?
That's so upsetting. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but what can I say? The funny thing, he died while doing his profession, and he was a radio DJ.
Okay.
While on show in the morning show, and he would be perfect. But maybe we play this Aussie German thing, and get some guests in here who add little things to our themes. And, who give us a lot of bandwidth because they are so popular and famous.
Absolutely. Sounds great. We'll discuss later.
Okay. Joe,
thank care.
You so much. And we write each other anyways.
Of course. Bye, everyone. See you later.
Bye-bye. Ciao.